That is one weird thing about Third Strike that may have been an oversight about some of the normals. Like Remy's crouching medium kick sucks so bad. Can't cancel it. Minus on hit. Like, what is this button supposed to be used for? To kill them with? High risk? Do it when they don't have super? Remy's crouching medium kick is one of the weirdest, worst normals in this game. But maybe they just expect you, like, if they have meter, don't use it. Maybe that's their idea. Or maybe this whole game is just a beautiful accident. I would love to be able to talk to Neo G or have some kind of interview where they talked really in depth about the deep core system mechanics of this game. Like, was there a moment in reasoning why they were like, okay, this much throwing volt, exactly this much throwing volt? Like, what was their reasoning? You know? Or was it all like, just put this like this and see what happens? It's probably just a happy accident. I think so too, but when I think about Makoto's stand medium punch, that just blows my mind. They tailored the frame advantage of her medium punch. They had to look at each individual active frame for Makoto's medium punch so that it would only give you a certain advantage. Like, we're not making this advantage past this much, despite what later active frame it hits on. They had to know what they were doing with that. That was not an accident. But also to say that this is the perfect game, that's not true either. But maybe that's also what makes it great. It's just not perfect at all. Could you explain other situations like Makoto's stamp? Other situations, sure. Another one that I like to bring up is Elena's standing light kick. And I would have never figured this out if it weren't for this training mode. Stand light kick, pretty good button. A lot of frame advantage. It has so much frame advantage that if you car grab too quickly, they're still throw involved, so you can't actually car grab them unless you wait a little bit. Crazy, right? So this move has a lot of frame advantage. It's +6 on crouching Ryu, which is another story, but it's actually less on hit, +4 on hit. Now this move is 3-frame startup, right? Hits on frame 4, so it's 1 frame away from being able to link into itself. So that would be great if Elena could link to light kicks and then uppercut and then super, that kind of thing. But she can't. They made it exactly the amount of frame advantage that you can't do that. So this move actually has some active frames on it. So you would think if I hit on a later active frame, maybe it'll push that advantage up by 1 and I can link off of it. If you hit this meaty, it loses frame advantage. It went from 4 to 2. I went backwards. I lost frame advantage because I did a meaty stand light kick. 2. +2. Now it's +4. That makes no sense. This is not the only normal like this. It's the same thing. It happens a lot of places. They want it to be like that. They don't want you to be able to link lights. Okay, so in Street Fighter V, if you hit on a later active frame, it's always, pretty much always, going to increase their frame advantage by 1 or 2 or 3, depending on which active frame that is. Now, what my friend FaZe told me is that each active frame is tailored. They went through each active frame, was like, this is how much hit stun this is going to cause. This one's going to cause this much hit stun. It's going to be individually laid out so that, you know, it works the way that they want it to. So just because you hit on a later active frame on this game, it doesn't mean it's going to increase the frame advantage. And it doesn't mean it's going to increase it the amount you think it is. Because if that were the case, Makoto's medium punch would be ridiculous because it has 11 active frames. 11, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
This move is so easy to meaty with. So by Street Fighter V's rules, you might think that it has 11 active frames. So that means if I hit it on the last active frame, I would be 10 more. I would add +10 advantage. So I would be +17 if I hit this really meaty. Doesn't work that way. So I could never get to that amount with a medium punch with Makoto, no matter how I try. That's meaty, +7. Still +7. When I hit them, +7. That's absolutely meaty, but it's still +7. And maybe the reason why they have that is so you can't do this into this. Can you do that? You might be able to do this on some crouching characters, actually. This is not going to work out. But yeah, that's generally the idea. So when I hear about Third Strike is happy accidents, but I also look at the attention to detail that they put into a lot of this frame data, it makes me kind of feel like it's a little bit of both. They took a lot of time and spent a lot of time with how these moves work. But at the same time, you can't account for everything, you know? How much data do you really have? You know, how many experienced players did they have back then to playtest this? I miss when we didn't know about frames like that. You just felt it out. Nah, I mean, it's all good. I like both. In some ways I miss it, in some ways I don't. I think it's good now that more people understand about how, you know, that kind of shit works now. Because it should make the games better. My assumption is that games like Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5, they were made to be easier to play because we were so terrible at fighting games in general, and they wanted to make fighting games easier so you have a better experience as a player. And I think Street Fighter 5 kind of nearly shut that down. I just don't think they got the formula quite right with making a fighting game that's easy to play but difficult to master. They're just easy to play, kind of hard to master, but I think most importantly, it's got to be interesting too. I think the right build, frames inform you but don't rule the game. Street Fighter 5 was kind of the opposite. Yeah, if you don't know the frame data in Street Fighter 5, you will forever be lost. It's kind of weird how that works out. It's really easy to, you know, execute things and do combos, but if you don't know if you're plus 2 or 3 or 4 or 1, if you don't know you have a 3-frame or a 4-frame character and how that lines up with those interactions, it might not make sense to you why you're losing in some situations, unless you look at the frame data. And that's where Third Strike, even when you don't know that, you don't know how the frame data works, you still have that awareness, like, oh, I could have at least parried that. I probably could have parried that and found a way out. I still, as much as I've been looking at Third Strike under a microscope lately, I still don't know a lot of the frame data. If you ask me how fast Hugo's crouching medium kick is in this game, I don't know. But I know Sagat's stand medium punch is 6 frames. Crouching medium punch 7 frames. Stand line kick 5 frames. Stand line punch 4 frames. Crouching line punch 4 frames. You know what I'm saying? I don't know none of that shit with Third Strike because I don't really have to. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and leave me a comment or a question. I do want to grow this channel to 100,000 subscribers, but more importantly, I want to teach people fighting games. If you want to catch the live stream, link is in the description. And that's it for now. Hope you learned something. I'm Automatic. Peace.